All right.
All right.
We are now streaming live on the internet. And we're going to just jump into the podcast here. Connie, you ready? This is big.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right. All right. All right.
Let's keep doing that. That makes me feel even more ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's meant to do. Okay, here we go.
Nice.
Hello and welcome to Paradise. You are listening to the Green Dudes podcast, the only Green Day podcast that matters. You are here with me, Connor Mack. I am joined by my co-host and best friend in the Green Day verse, Green Day comrade in arms, and of course my dude wife for life, Mr. Connor Kelly.
Hey. Thanks,
Connor,
man.
how are you feeling today? This is a big moment for Green Day and for the Green Dudes.
That's right.
We've been building up to this moment for a long time because of course, Connor, I'm talking about we're doing our first video podcast. We have made it to the year 2024. Um and I mean, how are you feeling on this momentous occasion?
I'm feeling good. I really appreciate that you led with that this is a big day for Green Day first.
Yeah.
You didn't say that, hey, this is a big day for us first. You were like, this is a big day for Green Day. And I think it's right to acknowledge that because who else is carrying the banner? We
I
we
mean,
say we're the only Green Day podcast that matters, and I'm not trying to start off by taking shots here, but I think that this is just as big for the Green Day community as it is for us as a podcast.
I would say so. I mean, I can't think of any other Green Day podcast that has ever ever done a video podcast. Uh, Not even talking about streaming live. That's that. I think we are pioneers
Right.
in this regard.
And let alone a complete song by song retrospective discussion
Yeah. Hmm.
for throughout their whole discography. Find me that podcast.
It doesn't
Find me
exist.
that. It doesn't exist except for us,
It
which is
didn't exist. It
which is
didn't
why we're
exist.
doing it.
It
So
didn't exist until we came along,
yeah.
and that's
So
the cold hard truth.
yeah, that is it. So no, I'm feeling good, and it's funny that we have made this deliberate, intentional, well thought out decision to align the Green Dudes video launch with the Green Day video launch with
Yeah,
our
I know.
Longview discussion here. It feels right,
It
you know.
does feel right, and that's why we planned it all out from the beginning. Really,
From the beginning, it was our plan from day one.
we planned it out all. It was methodical. It was means tested, focus grouped.
Mhm.
We wanted to create maximum impact and disrupt the industry. As that's what they say.
That
That's what
they do say.
entrepreneurs say that all the time.
They do say that all the time. Yeah, it makes me think, like, I don't know, should we have been the green entrepreneurs? It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, that's a good
It's too
point.
wordy.
The
Um,
green the green entrepreneurs.
the green entrepreneurs.
That's
We
what,
we sort of are the green entrepreneurs a little bit.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a bit better. Still not there entirely, but yeah, Connor, you know, you're right. This is I mean, obviously us video streaming, live streaming, and recording a video podcast about Green Day. That's huge for the band. Obviously, they have to be aware. They have to be in the loop. Like, oh, today's the day. You know,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
No, I mean,
sure.
I think so.
But I mean, the reason I said that today was big for the band is not because like this actual day is big for them, and I'm sure could be. I feel like it's a Saturday in December, so you know I'm sure Billy's had a good day. I'm sure he might not even be awake yet because California time is it's 3 hours earlier than us.
Right,
So
yeah.
we're ahead. And Billy Joe, he's known to sleep in.
He's an
So
infamous oversleeper. Yeah,
yes, he is. Yeah. So he might not even be awake yet. We don't know. But I feel like maybe he's drinking his first cup of coffee and he threw on the Green Dudes Twitch stream,
maybe.
you know?
Do you think that, like, in the Armstrong households, they are having Punk Bunny coffee? Is that just, like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like, is that
yeah.
just, like, a thing where they kind of like, came together and it's like, "Alright, like, this is the only coffee we're gonna drink now," or is it kinda just, um, a mixed bag, I wonder?
That's a great question. I don't I mean I mean when if you put together a coffee company and put out all this coffee, and I mean to like they really pushed it hard this year. They really did. Harder than they ever pushed Oakland coffee,
Yeah.
like it's kind of funny like and I could be wrong cuz Oakland coffee kind of launched right around the time Revrad came out,
Mm.
and I don't remember them ever hawking it live at the shows or anything.
No, no, I would say definitely not. Definitely not the shows we were at, because I think
Yeah.
that would have been a notable point, and we felt like we were kind of, plugged in, I get not that it
Yeah.
was, like, weird, like, Green Day fans know this stuff, just like, just like, when they're gonna have a surprise performance or something, it's like Green Day fans know, like, they
Yes.
have
Yes.
feelers out, there's a
They do.
network of underground spies. I'm not saying that we had some special insider knowledge, but it did kind of feel like, because they themselves, like, were not promoting it, like, you had to be a Green Day fan to know.
Yeah. I think
So it was
that's
kind of
true.
funny that they didn't have, like, any cross promotion, because it seems so obvious now. I don't know.
I no, I know. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe there was a thing where they didn't want to um confuse the two brands so much. They're like, okay, this is a serious not I mean, yeah, this is a serious coffee company. We want to this can be kind of a separate venture. And then I feel like a few years in, then Trey kind of came in the fold because originally it was like Mike and Billy's project together. Then I think a few years later, Trey came into the fold, and they're like, "Well, this is just Green Day. We're just Green Day doing a coffee company, so we might as well just kind of use that to our benefit." And
Mhm.
they obviously rebranded and uh, pushed the hell out of it. They make the poor drunk bunny wear a Punk Bunny T-shirt
I know.
now
Yeah.
on stage when he's dancing. He used to just be dancing naked and free and having a great time, but now he's constrained and he's wearing a Punk Bunny T-shirt.
Yeah. No, you gotta wonder how the bunny feels about it, for
You
sure.
do, yeah.
I did wanna mention, I wanted to say this last, I forget if it was last time, or it doesn't really matter, but when we were talking about, like, our kind of respective, um, drives to visit our families for, the holidays, for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, we were saying, like, "Oh, I listened to Dookie, and you were listening to," I think it was Foam, right?
I listen to Foam,
Um
yeah.
well, I wanted to bring this up, and I just forgot. But on that drive that I took, it was my whoa, wow, how do you say that word?
In
Inaugural,
inaugural. Yeah.
it was my inaugural use of my Punk
Oh,
Bunny travel mug that you
hell
got me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and now I'm now I had coffee in it at the time. I'm now using it as a water cup for the moment. I
Very
don't know.
cool.
I don't know if that's sacrilege, if that's messed up,
No,
but
no, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, use the cup for whatever you need to. I thought
yeah.
for a second you're like, oh, I switched over to whiskey. You know,
No. I did briefly consider that, and I was like, I don't know, maybe just a little too fucked up for, like, 2 o'clock on a Saturday, I don't know.
yeah.
It really is water this time. If we podcasted later, it probably would
Oh
be
no,
whiskey. Yeah.
no, I'm sure. How's the cup holding out for you? Is it
It's nice.
yeah,
It's
nice.
and I kinda thought, I mean, because it was like $3,
$3. Yeah, it was very
Um,
cheap.
not to say I don't appreciate it, it's just, like, it was cheap, like, it was a
It was
cheap
cheap.
it was a
Yeah.
cheap gift. Not that you're cheap, just that the gift
Oh,
itself was
hey, thank.
cheap.
Yeah, no, of course.
And so, I didn't know what to expect. Connor, I am very surprised at the quality of this $3 plastic fucking travel mug. It's pretty damn good. It
Hell
really
yeah.
is.
Hell yeah.
So,
Happy to hear that. I still haven't even opened mine. And again, it's not, I mean, maybe there is like a psychological thing where I'm like, I don't want to ruin it.
yeah. No, I
I
know.
I have a lot of cups. I like, actually, it would be cool if maybe I should try it since we're doing these video podcasts now. I can angle my computer camera a bit better and have my because over to the side I've got a stand that I have all three of the Green Day pop figures, Billy, Mike,
Mhm.
and Trey,
Mhm.
and they're all kind of like leaning against the Punk Bunny coffee uh, mug. So maybe I'll try and try and reorganize things so I can get that in the frame. That
Yeah.
would be pretty cool.
Y-
But yeah,
our eagle-eyed uh viewers right now might be able to spot some Green Day paraphernalia in our backgrounds,
you never know. You
or
never
maybe
know.
even on our
There's
person. I don't know. I don't
maybe on our
know. But
maybe on both of our torsos. In
yeah.
fact, I don't know. We'll
So
you know sh- hit us up if you uncover some hidden Green Day
yeah,
memorabilia, like where is Waldo?
yeah. Keep an eye out, because that's part of the fun of, like, isn't that? It's like we're trying to kind of support the visual medium here. And
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
we are now sort of cross promoting in a weird way.
We
We have
are,
the
yeah,
pot. It's still a podcast, but we're dipping our toes into some new territory. So
yeah. Now
you
with a
know,
video,
you got to make it worthwhile for the
you
viewers.
do. You got to
So
maximize this expansion. And Connor, we are like, I don't know. I'm not like super video, I mean, super podcast traditionalist, but
yeah.
we like really are late to the game for video
Oh
podcasts.
yeah.
Like I was reading like an article the other day from somewhere that was like the word podcast is changing now. Like people will say they have podcasts and they just mean they have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like
That's really weird to me.
it's
Yeah.
very weird. Yeah, like the whole verbiage just has changed. I'm not sure how I feel about that because I mean, here's the deal. We like this is there have been a few different podcast bubbles
Hmm.
over the last 15 years or so, and guess what? We have always been there. We have always been there before the bubble pops. But then what happens is we just kind of get bored or apathetic about it, and we kind of drop off the bubble before before it bursts. Not in a way where it's before anything it happens to our benefits. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I remember kind of doing a video podcast, like one of the first iTunes podcast things I did was do a video podcast in like 2008 or 2009 or something, and it was like really crappy um like pixely video that you could look at on your iPod.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, so I was ahead of the curve.
Right. It might not have been like that great on its own, but you can say I was there.
Exactly. I was there. I was there. Uh, obviously, you know, um, we want to shout out Al Sobrante for
Oh
that
yeah,
for that thought.
always,
We
always.
appreciate you. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we are here now, and I guess that's all that matters.
That's
And
all. That's all.
I think we're gonna stick around. I think we're gonna do some cool things with this medium, with having the capability to video stream and video podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, is now that we're getting into the territory where the band is in the mainstream and is kind of all over the place. Obviously, Dookie comes out. The band, I mean, the hype is insane. I remember I was a month and a half old when Dookie came out, and I remember how much hype
Oh yeah.
was surrounding this
Of
just as
course.
a baby.
Yeah. Yes. How could you not? Even
Yeah,
as I think all babies at the time were aware that Dookie was about to drop.
I think so. Well, because I remember the talk in the baby community, even like the day after I was born, I remember hearing about that baby on the Nevermind album cover.
Yes, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like he was big in the baby community.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
no,
you
of
know,
course. He was really carrying the banner for like the baby discussion at the time
he
for sure
was,
within the rock
yeah,
and roll community. Yeah.
exactly. And so like all the other babies, like they're like, oh, I want a piece of that action. You know, I want
Hmm.
to. So I remember there's a few babies in my ward
Yeah.
in the natal unit that
Yeah.
was taking care. You know, when I was first born, they were like fighting, like I'm gonna be on the Dookie cover. No, I'm gonna be on the Dookie cover. And then, you know, of course, they went a different way with the album cover. They
Yeah,
didn't
once
actually.
the news broke, just
Yeah,
babies across the globe were deflated.
yeah,
It was a depressing time to be a baby, to be
it
honest,
was.
because it
It was
felt
rough.
like talk about the bubble bursting. Like
Yeah,
it felt like we were like right on the precipice of
yeah. It was kind of like the diaper
something
bubble
really
burst.
special. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
That happened a lot
It actually did
when I
happen a
was
lot.
younger. That happened a
Yeah.
lot,
Um.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So anyways, Dookie comes out. There's tons of excitement. Green Day is like everywhere. Obviously, we're talking about Longview today, which is this is Green Day's first real single. With the video that accompanies it, which is why we are streaming and video ourselves. Um. So this is like opens up a whole new world for us because at this point, from here on out, Connor, we have interviews, we have live television performances, we have different behind the scenes specials, we have award shows, uh we have just so much shit that we could cover that we're not gonna be able to ever get through it all. But here I think a fun thing to do is we and you know, listeners can actually give us recommendations if you want. Because something I've been really wanting to do once we get to this era is find like our favorite Green Day interviews or behind the scenes documentaries or videos, and we can watch them live on the stream and comment and talk about them. And I mean, these are all things, Connor, you and I have been watching since we were 11, 12 years old.
It's practically since we were babies.
Practically, I mean, we were
Practically.
still in diapers at that
Yeah,
point.
yep,
We
and
were.
we did I mean, for a lot longer.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
were 10 and 12
we
years
were.
old, and it was
It
like,
was.
gotta eventually, we got shamed out of it, but, what are you
We
gonna do?
did, and I mean, yeah, occasionally we still will wear diapers just for just like if
It's
we want to.
convenient is the
It's
thing.
convenient and it's like nostalgic, you know.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but but yeah, so we. I think we'll be streaming some Green Day interviews and live performances and stuff like that, and just kind of talking about them, shooting the shit about them, maybe poking fun at them a little bit because you know Green Day, they're a band. They say some silly things sometimes, and I
They
think
sure do. So do
you know
we.
what
We've been known
we,
to do that.
we've been known to say silly things from time to time. That is true. That is true. I'll admit it. So yeah, you know, folks that are listening, if you have any ideas of things you want, you know, let's kind of stick to the Dookie era right now, but of like television performances, interviews, behind the scenes things that you want us to kind of talk about on the stream, and it'll be up in podcast form too. Let us know. I'm excited to get into this. Um, Connor, what you know, now that we have entered this kind of, you know, video killed the podcast star, really, because what
Yes.
happens
Yeah, that was a
what
really great choice of words
what
just now.
happens for us. um how are you feeling? What kind of things do you want to cover with this new ground?
It's a good question. You were kind of talking about how we can incorporate video like into our video, like
Yes.
we like so that is really cool. I would love to go through different performances, go through different interviews. I don't feel like I have like exact specifics off the top of my head, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It's
Yeah.
cool just that we have all these options. It's a little daunting. It feels like the deeper you go down the road of Green Day, the longer we're on this path, the more there is. It's like you would think going song by song, it would feel like, oh, we're making progress. It's like we're getting through the discography. Here we are at this like huge milestone of being about to discuss Longview off of Dookie. And it's like, on the one hand, yes. And then on the other hand, it creates so many more topics of discussion
I
and
know.
so much more possibility that it you know it's, I don't know, I feel like I'm on the golden path a little bit, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is daunting. And yeah, so I think we'll have to kind of play it by ear and hope we get some good
Yeah,
suggestions, I guess. But anyways, enough talk about our newfound abilities. Enough talk about the Green Dudes entering their major label era, which we fully have.
here it
Um,
is.
Connor, today we're talking about freaking Longview today.
Yeah,
This one is fucking crazy. This is
yeah,
like, I mean, what? This is like top three biggest Green Day songs.
yeah. It's so funny because already just having discussed 39 Smooth, having discussed Kerplunk, and now getting up to this point in our discussion of Dookie, there have been several times, like 2000 light years away or whatever, where it's like, even going to Passalaqua, we threw out, like there have been several times where it has been like, this is a big song. Like we're getting
Yeah.
into some bigger territory. But there really does need to be the caveat, as we are about to discuss Longview, that nothing that we have talked about prior is even with like in any kind of close proximity to this song. This is far and away
Yeah.
the largest, and will remain one of the largest Green Day songs we ever discuss.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm not afraid to say that this eclipses pretty much everything we've talked about up to this point. Combined. I mean, this is on international radar. This is not just, oh, a scrappy punk band from East Bay, California they've got hype. The punk scene around the country is like hyping up this band. Like that's all really cool, and it's awesome that they got here kind of organically, but this is like instantly propelled into a different stratosphere.
Hmm.
um and so that's where we are. And obviously Longview is the first. Once Basket Case comes around, that kind of like seals the deal, I think. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, this band is playing in the major leagues, and they're not just a one hit wonder.
Hmm.
This is like for real. But yeah, this is the very beginning. And so Connor, you know what, when I was thinking about the song, I was kind of like trying to think about, because it is so big. I was trying to think about if I remember having heard this song before I was a Green Day fan.
Right.
And there's a few songs I do remember knowing before I was a Green Day fan.
Same.
Um and I just don't know if Longview is one of them. So I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit about that, because this obviously is a massive song. Um you can hear it on classic rock radio
Yeah.
still. So I wanted to know,
Yeah.
which is insane.
Yeah.
Do you remember knowing this song before you were a Green Day fan, or was this something that you discovered once we kind of jumped into the fandom?
Yeah. Great question. The short answer is I don't remember having heard this song before I was a Green Day fan, but I would be more surprised if I hadn't heard it before I was a Green Day fan. Like, even though I don't remember it, I think it's kind of like one of those things where I sometimes I just need to kind of be like, my memory is very bad. Like, I have fucking shit for brains. My memory fucking sucks, which is why every time we do the live without warning section,
Yeah.
it's like you you might think that it'd be easy for me to be like, "Oh, yes I have," or "No I." It's a fucking crapshoot. I really I don't know very many songs that that I remember crystallized within my memory, you know. And so I cannot say with certainty that I had heard this song prior to becoming a Green Day fan. And like you're saying, there are songs that I can say I knew. Basket Case is one of them. Good Riddance is one of them. Like,
I was gonna point to those two as well.
yeah,
Those are the two that I like definitely knew before I was a Green Day
yeah,
fan.
absolutely. And it obviously we'll be talking about that Basket Case soon and Good Riddance not too far away.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it was a very bizarre kind of feeling to get into Green Day and then realize after the fact, like, oh, I know these songs, you know. I don't feel like I had that moment with Longview, but I can't imagine that I escaped its influence growing up when we did.
Yeah. No, same here. I mean, especially for you too, with having an older brother,
Yeah,
like you definitely heard this song at some point.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I wonder where everyone else falls on that spectrum. But kind of, going into our fandom here, we discover American Idiot at, 11, 12 years old.
Mhm,
We dive into Green Day's back catalog very, very fast, very, very, very shortly afterwards. Um, I have to imagine, Connor, like Longview is, when we're researching the band online, like I
mhm.
have to think Longview is one of the first songs we listen to after devouring American Idiot.
Definitely.
I think it has to be. I mean, I think there's even a chance because we obviously we were introduced to them watching Fuse TV and the music videos for the American Idiot era, and I mean the Longview video was there in rotation all at the same time. So
Mhm.
it's possible we were into the song before we even got the American Idiot album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it is possible, which is funny, but I don't know. I just feel like I I feel like you would probably remember like, I would be surprised we didn't make that connection, you know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
I think we might have even made the connection, but we still were just like, okay, well, we're gonna buy this album first. This is a new album, and we kind of knew from just exposure to the music videos that these other Green Day eras and videos did exist.
mhm. Yeah, no, that is definitely true. Um, yeah, it is funny to think about, but
Yeah,
I don't have any, like I wish I could pull, like, a clear memory and be like, "Yes, this is."
I mean,
And I do have some. I do
I
some
know.
like, as we go through the music video and stuff, like, I do it's not that my brain is like this black hole. I have some childhood thoughts to share, especially about, like, watching the music video, the content of
Yeah.
the lyrics. Um, but yeah, this is just another one of those songs that it kind of feels like it's always been there because we've been listening to it for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going back into that era, into your childhood, my childhood, our childhood, when we
Mhm.
were just two young punks. Um, how how did that Connor K feel about this song? Because this is obviously this is different. This is quite a bit different from Boulevard of Broken Dreams or Holiday. Um, this is obviously younger, more. I think it's kind of funny because I mean, as like 11-year-old kids and 13-year-old, 12-year-old you,
Mhm.
there's a lot about this song that we can kind of relate to more so than a Boulevard of Broken Dreams or Holiday.
Yeah.
I think this kind of is kind of a clincher for us, kind of being like, all right, well, this actually is us,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about young Connor K absorbing this and how you felt about it back then.
Yeah. I guess kind of talking about the song and the music video together a little bit, like, um, with the American Idiot music videos at that time, I think I was more drawn to sort of like the the kind of like polished theatrical kind of edginess that was present in like Boulevard of Broken Dreams or holiday
Yeah.
music videos. Like there was something very kind of like colorful and dynamic and in your face about those music videos that was immediately captivating. And going back to like the sound of Dookie, listening to the song Longview, watching the music video for Longview, uh, it is definitely dirtier in more ways than one. And the music video is like really pushing this aesthetic of kind of just like this crusty, rotten kind of sickness to it, like it's like gross to be within the music video
Yes.
in some ways, like it's meant to be off-putting. Like
Yeah.
that's what's supposed to catch your attention and draw you in. It's supposed to be bizarre and a little bit, not gross in like an icky sense, but like that aesthetic of like dirtiness around it is like very much like the punk idea that they're drawing on there.
Yeah.
Um and as a kid, I I I think I found myself like watching that music video and um definitely I guess be like still being interested and intrigued with like all of this kind of imagery. Like there's a lot of hard, fast cuts. There's a lot of it's one of those music videos like when you kind of come to understand like the vocabulary, the language of music videos, like especially at that time, like they're meant to be weird. They're meant to be like abstract in a lot of ways. Um and so I don't know, like I was into it, but I always felt like there was something that pushed me, like I bounced off it a little bit too. Not that I was like, "Oh man, I don't like Longview." I did fucking love Longview. Um, but I do kind of feel like there was something about it that um was like both captivating and off-putting about it. And like
Yeah.
I was kind of like realizing that like art could kind of make me feel like, "Oh yeah, I'm into this," but there just is something about it that is intentionally supposed to be kind of like gnarled and yeah, a little bit like rotten or something.
Yes, absolutely. I think that was a big part of their brand in the 90s, which I mean, that's even before you I mean, Green Day was just Green Day. They didn't I don't think they worried about their brand at this point. I think the suits did that for them. I think they were just themselves. So they were gnarled and rotten and grody in different ways.
Grody, yes.
Grody, just like naturally. And I think that I think they did I mean they did that intentionally. I think they wanted their music to be a little bit off-putting because they found it funny. That was part of their humor and
Yeah, for sure.
part of their style. And I think yeah, for me, I think that was a total revelation. Like you can do that in rock and roll. You can be gross in
Mhm.
rock and roll and off-putting in fun way. And I mean, as an 11-year-old boy, like who's fucking more off-putting and gross than an 11-year-old boy? Like, are you kidding
Definitely.
me? Like,
Yeah, exactly. You see
like,
that tons across so many different like fields of advertising and market. It's
yeah,
like toys that are meant to be like, "Oh, this is shit. This is
exactly,
mucus.
yeah,
This is." Yeah,
gross out toys, yeah,
yeah. It's kind of in line with that
it
idea for
is
sure.
absolutely. And I mean, so I instantly, I was like, well, I can kind of be a gross boy, and that's just kind of fun. Like, I can just do that. This is like the days of like it's okay if I don't shower for the whole week, whatever,
Yeah.
like, um,
The grease made your hair look better.
it
That was
actually
that
did.
was true.
It
Yeah.
actually did. These days, I have to put product in it to get
Yeah.
that look,
What happened?
I shower. I still probably don't shower enough, but I shower like a regular
Yeah.
human-ish. So yeah, I learned that I could be kind of like punkish without being a punk. And I mean, there is Connor, there's a lot of self-discovery in this song for boys of our age.
Yes.
Um, we'll touch on that. Oh God, that was a bad choice of
That was
words.
a
I'm sorry.
that was a choice. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no, we'll touch on it for sure.
We'll touch on that in a bit. The bit was also maybe a bad choice of words.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, yeah, so I'm largely right there with you. This kind of, it wasn't as immediate as Boulevard or Holiday or American Idiot. But it did kind of, I think ultimately it really maybe was more important to me as a youthful
Yeah.
kid figuring himself out, um let's kind of move now to the present. You're a man of a certain age. I am a man of a certain, I'm a little bit younger than you. I
Yeah.
am.
But
So
still a certain age,
some
still a
could still
man.
call me, some would still call me a boy, but
Okay.
you are
I don't think
definitely a man.
so. I don't
Um,
not sure, but okay.
I mean, I'm still ID'd sometimes when I,
Yeah.
buy things.
That's just you well, I guess you do kind of have a boyish complexion, don't you?
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. I mean, some people would say it all comes down to me not being able to grow any
Uh,
facial hair.
yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to acknowledge that really at any credible level, but
The viewers can now decide. This is not we are not behind the curtain
I
anymore. The
know now they can
viewers
see
can
us.
decide. So,
Now they can see us, and now they can talk about our our
am
our
I
our
truly
handsome.
the horrendous decrepit man that Connor has been describing for months and months for over a year now?
Yeah, it's been about a year,
Um,
Um,
you decide.
I like to think we're both decrepit and deranged in our own ways,
Oh yeah.
But then also I think we're both very handsome men.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
I mean, we contain duality.
That's right.
Um,
Song of myself,
anyways,
Walt Whitman. There you go.
there we go. How are you feeling about Longview these days? Obviously, Connor, this song has been in our life for a long time, and not only that, but we have heard this song. I don't know. We couldn't count. Like
No,
even if Connor, we had a like a folder that kept track of all the times we had heard this song. We would not be able to count the number of
no,
files in that folder. It's
no.
it's it's too it's too large.
This would be one of the, like some people think that when you die, if you go to heaven, that there's like that book with your whole life in it and shit, and
Yeah.
you could like ask any question. I would definitely one of the questions would be, how many times did I listen to Longview? How many
Yeah.
minutes of my life has that
Oh my
accounted for
god. Yeah.
listening to just Longview? Um, man, it's kind of scary.
It
It's
is. I
it's a bit
mean,
of a scary
it
question
is.
because it feels like it would be too much.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were like 5 full years of your life where
Yeah,
you were listening to this song.
yeah. No,
Um,
imagine that Spotify Wrapped,
oh my
just
god.
on long,
Yeah.
and because it's like sometimes there's some information I don't think you should know. You
No.
know,
No,
um,
your brain can't handle that kind of thing. We're not
yeah,
built for that.
we're not, we're not. Yeah. Anyways, so how do I feel about Longview now? Well, it's safe to say I still love it. There is so much to love about this song. At the same time, I kind of have this feeling that lingers over a lot of like some of the bigger songs off of Dookie, um, and bigger songs throughout their discography. Like I have gone on record as saying, when I was younger, I was very much into the singles, and not that I did not like the deep cuts and shit like that. I've liked all of Green Day my whole life, um, but I definitely was more like immediately drawn to them, and you would think that like sounds obvious on the face of it. But I think it kind of speaks to um what I was looking for when I was younger and like my relationship with like music listening, where if something sounded more immediately uh like catchy, then I would be like, oh well, that song's better. I like this song more. um and now there's kind of like this inverse sort of relationship where because I've listened to songs like Longview so many times throughout my entire life, um, I there's it feels like there's almost like the weight of the compound listening to it
Yeah.
where uh I love the song, but I can't separate it from like the feeling of it being like this is the Titanic single of Green Day. And it almost makes it feel like a little more commercialized, a little more sanitized in that respect. Where it's like this song is, makes such an effort. It's pushing so hard, to be like this is this is sort of like our counterculture apathy anthem.
Uh-huh.
Um and yet it has grown, it has ballooned in such a way, both within its own life as a song and within like my life as a listener, that it kind of feels like it exists in its own little sphere. And it's hard for me to like separate that sometimes, if you see what I'm driving at there.
No, I definitely get what you're saying, and I mean it's something that I feel I feel the same way about a lot of these heavy hitters. You know, I feel that way about the American Idiot album as a whole. Um, Definitely about a lot of these songs on Dookie, and yeah, Longview is up there, and it's big. It feels impenetrable. And for me, I feel like I have gone on a journey with this song. Where I like I said, I loved it right away. It kind of taught me things, and I grew into it. Then I grew out of it. I think there was a period of time definitely where I was like, well, this song I've heard a million times. It's overplayed. Um, there are so many other Green Day songs that I feel like are better songs um that don't get their due, and it kind of you kind of go through, or for me, an obsessive fan who's like, this are these fucking singles,
Yeah,
these people only know Longview and Basket Case and American Idiot, and so you kind of go through that phase. And but then when you get older, I think for me at least, I have come around. When I come around, uh
yeah.
uh I've come around to loving it, and kind of being able to celebrate what a masterpiece it is. And now I hear it and I love it and I really appreciate it. I Not that I'm above the magnitude of it, and it is still, it's still so important and so weighted that we could never really get to the bottom of it with the doing an hour and a half podcast. That's just not gonna happen. But for me, I really do feel like I have kind of come full circle with it, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I still I still adore it. All right, let's get into the brass tacks of this motherfucker.
Yeah, we gotta break this song down a
We
little
do.
bit to
Got to break it down, take it down a peg.
mhm, mhm.
Um, all right. I mean, Connor, this song this is kind of, we've talked, we've hinted a bit about this on previous episodes, but this song it's very different for Green Day's catalog thus far.
Yeah,
Right away you have this intro that is like, it's immediately iconic. Um, and obviously it starts off with a cool drum shuffle beat, but Connor, we have to hit the big guns first here. We're introduced now to uh Mike Dirnt playing what I think is Green Day's most iconic bass part.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, one of alternative rock's most iconic bass parts. Just as a whole.
yeah, very true.
this thing is fucking nuts.
Mhm.
This is genius. This is genius on Mike's part. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. You probably are, but the lore has it, Connor, that Mike wrote this while tripping on LSD.
Yeah, I have heard that before. I have heard that, and I believe it.
Yeah, and he's kind of struggled to remember it, or I think or he recorded it or something to make sure he remembered it. But yeah, I mean, I've never tried LSD. So I don't know what that's like, but do you think you could write a bass line like this on LSD? Would that help? Would that hinder you creatively? Or do you think that it's only Mike Mike is unique in his ability to turn this on?
I I do think that Mike is unique in his ability, for sure. Yeah. Um, it'd be interesting to kind of see, are there other musicians out there kind of crediting LSD with helping them in certain ways. Um,
Well, it's
certainly
a
there
long
are.
there's
Certainly
a
there
long
are.
history, Connor Lucy and the Sky with
The
Diamonds.
Beatles, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
I'm
pretty much it.
sure no, there's more. Come on.
Just joking.
There's more. There's more. Um yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would help me if that's what you're really asking. I don't think it would help me. So no.
Because I was thinking of giving you some what do they do? Tabs? You have tabs of LSD?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of giving you some tabs of LSD and seeing if you could
Just seeing
write
what happens.
the
I'm gonna
next
write.
hit bass part.
Yeah. I'm gonna write the next Longview.
Yeah, I was hoping that might happen. So
I'm
we'll
gonna. I'm
see.
gonna. I'm gonna write long too.
Long two, long Tua.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And we'll live stream it too. So get
Yes.
ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an interesting anecdote. Yeah, I mean, so it's very new for Green Day because it's like this is like a jazzy kind of weird bass line. It's not like a punk rock bass line. It's different from anything he's written to date.
Hmm.
And I mean, this song obviously there are standout parts for every. I mean, I think every individual element of this, Connor, has standout moments. But Mike leads the charge here 100%. So it's a lot to unpack here, Connor. But what are your thoughts on not just this bass line, but Mike's performance throughout the song, which happens to revolve around this bass line?
Yes, it does. Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty amazing to think about. It's one of those things where I think you chose the right word right off the bat. The bass line itself is iconic. It's not that it's like complicated. It's not that it's difficult. It's not that you need to be, super advanced
No, I mean
bass guitarist to play
kids
this thing.
cover the song at talent shows every year.
Yeah.
They have to change some of the lyrics, but they play it.
Hmm. And I think that is kind of like the secret sauce in my mind. And we've talked about this a lot with Green Day, so I won't beat a dead horse here. The horse is already dead after all. It would be really fucked up to keep beating it.
It would be. That's kind of
Yeah,
that would push you over to
that's the.
the
I'm not gonna do it.
psychopath.
Yes, absolutely. Only you got to be pretty fucking nuts to just
You
keep
do.
wailing on a horse.
I know. Leave it alone for Christ's sake.
But I think that like this baseline really personifies that idea to me, where like you're saying, you don't even have to be a Green Day fan to know this bass line. You could fucking play this bass line for so many people, and even if they weren't like, "Oh yeah, that's Green Day," which I think many of them still would get to,
Yeah,
they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know that song," Um,
definitely.
and it is it's an earworm, it gets stuck in your head. The other thing I was thinking about that I think works so well for it is that it's, yes, it's simple, um, and also the repetition of it kind of defines the song. It loops back in on itself, and it repeats and it repeats and it repeats. It's basically the bedrock of the entire song, Um, and I was thinking that um, I think it really like musically translates that idea of feeling like you're stuck and feeling like you're like rotting
Yeah.
and you're trapped, and it's like bored out of your skull, same thing every day, even jacking off is not doing it. Like you are just a piece of shit and you're waiting to die.
You're a piece of shit and you smell like shit.
And you smell like shit. And like this bass line, even though like if you just listen to it on the face of it, it's not like it's dark and depressing. I think there's kind of like a brightness to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I I feel like the way that it just continues and continues, like that's kind of the idea, that there sort of is this almost like more sinister kind of undertone to it, where the continuation of it throughout the whole song is exactly that idea of like being this person who's kind of just wasting away. um
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's like, oh, is that intentional? I don't think it really matters. We're sitting here having a discussion analyzing art. um but I just think it's another thing that works so well about this song, and Mike just imbues it with like so much character. Yeah, I just love it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, I think you're spot on about the repetition and the loop. The loop. I mean, it's loopy and it's looping.
Yeah.
It goes around and around. And yeah, I mean, it does kind of make you feel like, oh, you're out of your mind with boredom, like you're watching the paint dry on the
Hmm.
wall. But in a fun way,
In a
because
fun. That's what Green Day does.
yes, that is what Green Day does. And I mean, just listening to the bass line throughout the song, like, I mean, it's essentially just variations on this bass line throughout the song. Like the chorus and stuff is a bit different, but it's Mike kind of seamlessly jumps from part to part. And um yeah, I mean, it's kind of the backbone of this. Even when the guitar jumps in and the chorus goes harder, the bass is kind of still there,
Hmm.
if you listen for it. Yeah, so I mean, fucking, this is Mike's shining moment. And I think he should be endlessly celebrated for it. This, this bass line comes on during live shows, and everyone will always lose their shit. They will
Hmm.
always fucking go crazy. There's not a place they could play in the world that would be like whatever. Like,
Yeah,
it just wouldn't happen. Like, this is a magic rock and roll moment.
it
Uh
is. It
that's
is.
fucking it.
And what's
Um
funny is
yeah.
typically now live before they get to that bass line, they kind of tease it, which is what's like,
Yes,
it's like because they know what they have.
they do. They do.
You get the dun 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 dun, dun, dun,
Oh man.
and yeah,
And then the like descending into it, which
yeah,
which is
yes,
just it's
yes,
good on record, but it kills live. And that teasing, if they're playing a stadium show, Mike runs out onto the catwalk, and
mm-hmm,
this is like his moment to shine, um in the spotlight, literally. And yeah, that's one of the coolest parts of the live show. It's fucking awesome. um Now, talking about unique parts, I mentioned coming out of Chump and the kind of chaos and stuff, where we have Chump breaking down and then kind of bleeding, transitioning into Longview here. Um, Trey does this unique and cool shuffle beat, with the toms, that is also simple but iconic.
mm-hmm,
um
100%.
and it's amazing how these two things kind of came together so seemingly effortlessly. um and again, this is kind of the backbone of the song here. uh Trey does, I mean, this is something again that and all credit to John Kiffmeyer for his performances. This is not a song you would get without Trey.
True.
And so Connor, what are some of your thoughts on again that kind of iconic shuffle beat and just Trey's playing throughout the song, because it's fun, but then he also can kind of turn it up and fucking rock.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, my initial thought now is like, what drugs was Trey on when he came up with this
I
drum beat?
know.
Because that maybe that's just the deal, you know?
What would it
Is
be?
this that just how Longview came to be?
Yes, it might. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a fun part of this episode. We can guess which drug that each individual member was on. What do you think Trey was on? Maybe
I think it could be just as simple as good old marijuana.
it does kind of sound like a marijuana beat. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Because there's that I don't know uh uh a relaxed kind of like nature to it. Like it feels like it's literally just like rolling out a little bit,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So hey, who knows? Um, but yeah, I mean, in general, it is great, and definitely to Trey's credit, it's like, well, chicken or the egg kind of thing. But before that bass line comes on, it's Longview just from the drum beat too. That's part of like the fun is like they're equally, the drums and the bass are kind of like equally iconic, even though the
Yeah.
bass, of course, defines the song. They really are working in tandem so uh, perfectly that it's you can't have one without the other. It's a little bit of like a peanut butter jelly sort of moment here.
Oh,
It's like
very
there's
much so.
the
Very much so.
perfect marriage. Man, what a rhythm section, right?
It's
Um,
killer.
so yeah, I do really love Dre's. I really love
Dr.
Dre's.
Dre.
I was gonna say Dre's trumming. So
Oh,
it's kind of like Billy's vocal performance.
that was yeah,
Sometimes
that's another
it's
classic.
classic. I know.
What if Dr. Dre
What if
played
Dr.
drums on this song?
I think what Green Day fan has not asked themselves that question at some point in their lives?
I mean, sometimes it keeps me up. It keeps me up at night.
It
I'm just
does.
thinking about what if Dr. Dre was on this song.
I know. We need like a Trey Dre kind of crossover moment.
Well,
Like
Connor, with the power of AI, we can make that happen.
yes, that's right. That's
Just you
right.
wait.
We'll see. Um. Oh well. Okay. So finishing up with the whole drum and shit. Uh. Yes, it's like on the verses. I think it has a lot of the same strengths as Mike's playing, where it captures that feeling of malaise, like you're kind of just drifting through life, and it's looping. But I love that we get these small like hi hat punctuations throughout this. It's like every time you hear that, you get like that little dopamine rush. Like I feel like a trained dog where someone has like the little clicker every time they're about
Yes,
to get a
Connor.
treat.
I was gonna bring that up too.
Yes, that
It's
one fuck,
yeah, it's so Pavlovian.
yes.
It's I mean, because then the verse is gonna come in and you're
Mhm.
singing along.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's simple and genius, and it's always funny to me because sometimes in live performances, Billy will start like because like they extend the instrumentation between verses, and I mean sometimes they'll even ask kids to come up on stage and do whatever, sing the
Mhm.
song. But sometimes Billy will start singing the verse before the hi hat comes in, and I'm always just like, what are you fucking doing, dude?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. No, this is embarrassing for you
It is.
personally, Billy
And of
Joel.
course, I'm like the only one in the whole audience, or maybe there's a handful of us that are thinking that no one else cares, but
Yeah.
I always clock it and I'm like, dude,
Yeah. What are you doing?
everyone's everyone's laughing at you.
Yeah. What are you doing
Um,
right now?
but that's an awesome little moment. And then just a little bit about the drum production. This does have the kind of crispy kind of crispy crunchy drum
Mhm.
production with that snare, the same way that Chump does. And so I just love Trey's, like when the chorus comes in and it goes it just sounds, it's so fucking powerful and so
Yeah.
just like pump your fucking fist in the air. Great Green Day moment. Um, yeah, and so now we kind of get into the guitar here. I do think that this is a great example of like people discovering Green Day's classic guitar tone.
Hmm.
Classic power chord, 90s Green Day style. It's just, it's so fucking crisp, and like just the tone is iconic.
Yes.
Obviously the guitar is not it's not what you're looking for in this song. It's largely taking a back seat. Um, but nonetheless, there are cool guitar moments here, and some that are kind of unique to Green Day's catalog.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Billy Joe's performance on guitar here in Longview?
Yeah. Very solid. You know, they're very smart to show the restraint that they do. You know, it feels like they knew what they had, or Rob Cavallo or someone in this process like knew what this was, knew what they
Yeah,
had in their hands. You know, and um, you know, I think it could maybe feel tempting to want to have more guitar on this thing, because that's usually what's defining. Um, you know, the rhythm, not like the not the rhythm section, but you know, like that driving force in a Green Day song that we talk about so much. And yet, kind of like we've been saying too, like this song is is an outlier in their sound up to this point. And so there's this very clear recognition and understanding of like, well, that's not the power behind this song. And so I love the restraint that they show in really just having the guitar explode when the chorus comes in, and
yeah,
you get that, you know, that burst. You know, it's the dynamics of the song that make it feel so powerful, that to really emphasize that moment.
definitely.
And so yeah, again, it's like this is not like on its own really like a standout guitar riff by any means, but like with everything coming together, which is always the strength of Green Day, it's like it couldn't be anything else. You know, Billy's really just going,
I know.
you know, like
So simple.
uh but dude, like that it's fucking killer. It is
It
fucking
is.
killer.
Yeah.
And of course, like the outro there, just like that kind of soft melody that he's playing there, that's ringing out. That's like a really fun, sort of interesting way to give the song just a feeling of like closure after
Yeah,
everything, a bit more like texture to it.
I did want to bring that up. The that the outro guitar part, the na, 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 which very much sounds like a jazz kind of accompaniment to the bass line.
Yeah.
Um, Connor, it would be so easy to just build the song around that.
Hmm.
Like that is just the song, and then Billy kind of comes in and does like a lounge singer kind of vocal, like that could have been it. I mean,
Hmm.
and it would have been a really cool song. It would have been kind of like a Last Ride In kind of vibe, which they could have so easily done there, but they decided not to and made it something so much better.
Hmm.
So that's and save that really cool guitar part for just it's to fade out at the end, like um so that shows like really great songwriting instincts. Because like really they I mean, I don't know, it could have been a totally different song.
Yeah.
um and so they really kind of they got it right. they
Oh
they
yeah.
got it completely right. And now here, we talk so much about how iconic the bass is, how iconic the drums are. And those are iconic, but Connor, Billy Joe's vocal performance here is this is Green Day as people in the 90s thought of Green Day.
Hmm.
We've been building up to this moment for a while where, even back in the days towards the end of the 39 Smooth run, where we've been like, oh, Green Day, a bit Billy's snottiness is kind of coming through here. We can kind of
Yeah.
hear snotty Billy Joe. Um,
Yeah.
and we get into Kerplunk and we're like, oh, he's coming, he's waking up.
Yep.
We're getting the we're getting the vibes here. They're seeping through. We get to Burnout. We're like, okay, he is here, but it's not really until Longview that we get snotty Billy Joe in his like true final form, in the way that, like, when we talk about snotty Billy Joe, this is what people think of.
Yes.
Longview is he is here. He is apathetic and uh you know disenchanted, a little bit nihilistic,
Hmm.
but still having a blast. Connor, what do we think of Billy Joe's vocal performance here for Longview?
Man, Billy's vocal performance. What can you
Billy's
say?
vocals.
Um, yeah. It is like I don't know. It's everything working in tandem. It is pretty remarkable. And so to like kind of sit back and try to look at each part of it, it's I don't know. It's funny to try to separate it, but yeah, I mean, just great because yes, Billy is able to imbue um, so much character and feeling into this song, and it's funny because like this song really is defined by like apathy and malaise and boredom, but Billy doesn't sound bored singing this song. It's not that the performance is like him who's um uh I mean, I do think that this is one of those things that's like of course it's coming from Billy. We talk a lot about like maybe characters in the song. Really what I'm trying to get at here is I think Billy plays this with just a bit more like angst and a bit more attitude. And yes, like there's very weird like slurrings and pronunciations, like little vocal ticks. You get the whoo, like
Yeah, baby.
you get all that. And so it's great because even though like the content of this song is essentially about being stuck and bored and rotting away, I love that Billy still gives it this energy to it that it feels like there's like this it really kind of epitomizing like the anger I think that's underneath sort of like this veneer of boredom. It's like, yes, I'm sitting here, I'm bored, I'm wasting away, but underneath that like very thin layer that you see visually, there is like this fucking term, there is like lava underneath the surface, and I feel
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like that's what Billy's singing here, I think, goes to show in this song.
definitely. And I think that is kind of showcased a lot in the music video,
Hmm.
because obviously the music video ends up with Billy Joe tearing up the whole living room. There is kind of like a match waiting to be struck here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think I don't know. He sounds very confident and very driven. Like, I don't know. It really just feels like mentally, for most of the Dookie album, here especially, Billy Joe kind of goes in. I mean, he again, he's mentioned quite a few times, even recently, how nervous he was recording vocals for Dookie, but like he was on a mission, and he knew that this was like his big chance, and he had to do a good job, and he locked in and fucking killed it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much presence to his vocals, and they're so full and forceful. Um, and yeah, there's not a greater example than on Longview. So yeah, with his little Billyisms, and it's killer. And the other thing I would want to mention for vocals is the harmonies with Mike are they're so good on this song.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
just little lines here and there and backing vocals and weird noises like woo,
Yeah, yeah, right.
uh
That moment where it's like,
yeah,
"Call me what you will." You get that harmony, and
yeah.
then I've never known sounds like someone stepped on a cat. I don't know what the fuck that noise
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it's one of those things where you're not totally sure, and I mean, there have been people saying I've read rumors that it's their friend Eggplant shouting something in the background, shouting,
Yeah,
but I don't, I've always thought it was Mike just kind of shouting Will or so,
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but that's a fun moment live too where people shout. Um, Connor, you want to just talk about I this is tricky because this is the first time we've done a song with a music video, so
Mhm, mhm.
we're kind of still working out like how we're handling that. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
if
structure.
the structure, if we're being honest, like we could dedicate a whole episode to just the video
Oh,
and it
yeah.
would be fine. Like and maybe in the future we will do that, but right now we're kind of just figuring out the format here.
Mhm.
Um, so I just want to get kind of some of your thoughts on the video and memories with the video, or just kind of just off the dome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, great music video. I really liked how, um inscrutable it felt. Like before we were talking about how the American Idiot music videos felt like much more immediately hooking to me, and I think probably just in general,
Yeah,
like there's a bit more gloss to it. It's like you wanna, I don't know, it grabs hold of you, especially at that age. Um, and then here with the Longview music video, I think it kind of felt like, I don't know how else to put this, but with American Idiot, it's like right place, right time, of course. It's like somehow without knowing that it was coming, it's like I was ready for it. Like when it happened, it's like somehow there was like this knowing acknowledgement of like I needed like some kind of thing to
yeah,
have in that moment to fill some kind of like a void, or to provide some kind of like guidance or structure, like musically. An American Idiot was that thing. The reason I'm bringing that up is because with Dookie, with specifically this music video Longview, um I think because it was a bit more grating and not quite as like, I don't know, meant to be like charming as a kid, it felt like I was reaching up above my age range just a bit more than I have.
definitely. Yeah,
And somehow, even though American Idiot comes later, like it felt like it was perfect for me being 12. And Dookie, even though it's obviously comes well before American Idiot, it felt like at that time, coming to it at that time in my life, it felt like I was reaching up to something a little more mature than I was
yeah.
even
I
like there for.
I think that's a great point because I mean it's like a funny dichotomy there because like obviously American Idiot there's like very mature themes like socio-political elements that like we really were almost oblivious to,
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
so it's funny that at the same time it was like more accessible for our age range, because kind of like there was like a larger than life element to American Idiot. Like these guys were like rock stars
Yeah.
who were having a blast and just making really catchy fucking music.
Mhm.
And I think there was an element of not that Longview wasn't written like skillfully. Obviously there was a whole lot of skill here, but with the American Idiot singles and kind of why we fell so hard for them, I feel like the songwriting was just different in a way where like it was subversive in ways we couldn't penetrate yet, but like it was alluring in a way like it didn't feel like there was those subversive elements.
Mhm.
Whereas in Longview, it was like, okay, well, we know that they're talking about stuff that we haven't
Right.
experienced yet.
Right. This was like
Um,
so much more obviously crass. It
yes,
was like
yes,
we could like we could listen to American Idiot, and like even like my dad. liked American Idiot. He
Yeah.
liked
Right.
those, like your parents, when you
Yeah.
listen to American Idiot,
Hmm.
liked American Idiot.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
But it kind of felt like, oh, at that time when we were just getting into it, it felt like I can't listen to Dookie with my family.
Yes.
I can't listen to
Exactly.
Longview in the car. And I think that's like what kind of created this like this distance and that feeling of entering something a bit more mature or adult. It's like
Absolutely.
which it is funny because on the face of it, like now, here we are, men of a certain age. Longview's obviously way, way more immature than American Idiot with what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
you're
I know.
coming to those two records as an 11-year-old, as a 12-year-old, the crassness and like the unabashed in your face nature of Dookie in a song like Longview, like we were aware of it. That wasn't something that was flying under the radar. Like we knew.
We
And
did. Yeah.
yeah, that's like what kind of gave it this strange edge to it that kind of felt like, yeah, like this is that's almost part of how you grow up. It's like you
Yes.
you find things that are like just above you, just out of your reach. And as you grab those things and as you absorb them into you, it's like suddenly it's not like this alien thing that you're discovering. It's a part of your experience now.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. And
and
that's how
that's kind
you.
of what Longview was.
It
Yeah,
is. That's how you grow up. And
that's how you do it
that's how we grew up.
in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but just makes me remember buying Dookie from Walmart with my dad when I was like 11 years old and getting into the car, walking into the car after buying it. And he's like, "Hey, Connor, why don't you, put it in the CD player? We can listen to it on the ride home." And I'm like, that's okay. We don't have to. It's okay. It's fine. You can just listen to the radio. It's fine." He's
Yeah.
like, "It's like,
Yeah.
what? You don't want to listen to it? What?" Because like, I don't want to hear him. I don't want him to hear Billy sing about masturbation.
Yeah.
That would be the end. Um, it's just a very funny thing because then obviously 5 months later, Connor, we go see Green Day with my parents, and they watch Billy Joe pretend to masturbate on stage.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just it's fun being a kid. It really
Yeah.
is.
That's just
Um,
part of it.
that's part of it. Connor, you ready to move on to the lyrics here?
Yeah, I am.
You want to
Um,
help sing us a song?
let's do it. Here we
All right.
go. Just tell me the
Words
words
I
I
might
might
have
have known.
known,
The
the
words
words
I
I
might
might
have
have
known.
known,
The
the
words
words
I
I might
might
have
have known.
known. All right, and that was the audience's first opportunity to watch us sing our smash hit jingle
Yeah.
in the flesh. So
Yep.
you're welcome.
Doesn't feel embarrassing at all to just be sitting here
No,
singing
no,
singing
of
these
course
little
not.
songs to
No.
ourselves. Yeah.
All right, Connor. So yeah, we'll start off with some of these maybe misheard lyrics. Obviously, this Connor is a song that is like so massive. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you have anything that you were mistaken about or wrong about?
Very small things
Okay.
and things that I've known. I was like, what? For so long, I was like, what is that tiny, tiny thing? So in the third verse, after that iconic line, when masturbation's lost its fun, looking at the genius lyrics here as we do, he says, "You're fucking lonely." Now, I always sang "you're fucking lazy" because
Yeah.
uses that word elsewhere earlier on in the song. But I've also always like known that wasn't it because I could hear it wasn't it. And for some reason, my brain was never just like, oh yeah, lonely. So it's a tiny little mystery solved. And on the last chorus, he switches it up a little bit here too. So he says, I'm so damn bored, I'm going blind, and loneliness has to suffice. That line there, and loneliness has to suffice.
Yeah.
That line, I've always heard loneliness, and I've always heard suffice, which you think would be the word. It was like, what's that? I've always
Yeah.
heard that, but I didn't know how it connected. And
Oh, all
loneliness
right.
has to suffice. I would always just be like, and loneliness suffice, like literally. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's another obvious one,
Yeah,
but
that's very funny.
that's just the truth, you know. So there
Yeah,
you have it.
that those are good ones. I was actually going to bring up the first one, when masturbation's lost its fun. Here on Genius it says you're fucking lonely. It's here. Okay, here's where it's not so simple, Connor. Um, there's been much debate about this line. I think, yeah, lonely, lazy. Those are two big ones. But Connor, in the Dookie booklet, it says when masturbation's lost its fun, you're fucking breaking.
Oh, yeah, it does
Um,
kind of sound like that too. I can hear
so
that.
as far as I know, there is not one correct way to sing that line. And Billy Joe himself sings it differently, in different performances, and oftentimes doesn't sing it and does a crowd shout out moment.
Yeah.
So that's one of the fun things in Green Day's uh, catalog, where it's like, I mean, there's moments scattered throughout. They're like, well, what is he saying? And the answer is we just don't know, and he doesn't know either.
Hmm.
Um, and so that kind of that I think that's one of those moments here. When I was listening to it earlier today, I was like, well, it does kind of sound like lonely, but I don't know. That's something that I kind of want to get, listeners' thoughts on. What, like, how do you sing this line? Do you sing lonely? Do you sing lazy? Do you sing breaking? Do you sing a different word? Or or do you go "Blah, blah, blah, blah," and just
Hmm.
mumble it? That's something that Billy Joe himself does.
Yeah,
So
completely valid.
it's all valid. It is, but let us know your thoughts, please. Um, Connor, going into the lyrics a bit more. I think, I mean, there's a lot here, obviously.
Yeah,
Um, we're not going to cover it all, but there's some really great lyrics here. I mean, it's very it's like very visual,
yeah.
this song, you and really the visual is like the music video itself, like you picture Billy Joe sitting around watching TV, twiddling his thumbs. And that's kind of what we get in the video. I don't know. Are there lines here that stand out to you that you want to point out?
Yeah. I mean, we're really just gonna be tiptoeing around it if we
Yeah,
don't start with when masturbation's
I
lost
know.
its fun.
I know. That's the big one. That's the
So
big one.
we might as well touch on it a bit. We might as well touch the bit. You
let's
know,
touch on
we might as well. So
let's touch the bit.
yeah. Um this okay, so you also were alluding to this before because it's important to understand the context of the discussion you and I are about to have,
Yeah.
and that is that we were listening to and getting into this song literally as we were entering puberty.
Yeah.
Um, you would have been 10 or 11. I would have been 12 or 13.
Um,
It's within that range. But yeah, I mean, forget like 10 and 12. Um, and so I it's just like with trying to think about man, like when did I know Longview before I got into Green Day? There's this other bizarre question that's kind of hanging over this where it's like, when did I start masturbating?
yeah, I
How does
know.
that line up with Green Day? What is or isn't the potential influence on listening to Green Day to jacking off? Um, and I'm not saying that like it was Green Day that introduced this idea. Like
Yeah.
I know as a young boy that that was out there. Like people, people knew it wasn't a secret,
Yeah, it wasn't,
like
yeah.
you're hanging out with, your friends, like not that you're doing it together, I'm not saying that,
No, of course not.
and not that you aren't either, I'm not really saying anything. I'm not really here to even comment on that one way or the other because everyone grows up different. That's
We've
fine.
all been, yeah,
You you do
it's,
you.
you do you. Exactly.
Um, but I guess I'm trying to get at like this idea of the intersection between listening to this song as a kid, as as we're having those experiences going through puberty, and like having a song, having a piece of art from what is like now immediately our favorite band from American Idiot, and it's like that is given some kind of a place to exist within the music, not that there's like any reverence to it. Like it's talked about as this thing that it not that the act of it is dirty, but like this individual is like so fucking gross and just like an absolutely downtrodden scum of the earth fucking loser that even masturbating, it's like, well, who cares, right? It's like it's Billy's using it to kind of exemplify and typify like just how like fucking unmotivated and kind of like empty like this individual is, or like what it
Yeah.
what it feels like to exist within that mindset, which is not something that you and I would really, I think, maybe come to personally understand until a little bit later. But
Yeah, sure.
definitely there's this idea of like suburban malaise, which was like very familiar to us, and the the way that that's connected to masturbation, I don't know. It felt like, again, like we kind of talked about this song as something that we felt like we couldn't really share, but like it kind of provided this space where like we as kids who were having this experience as well. We're doing the same things, like to see that reflected back at you in a song. I do think um somehow makes you feel a bit more seen, you know? Uh not that you want to be seen in that way, like but like I'm just trying to
Oh,
say that
not
like
literally
right,
seen.
I feel like this song, like part of the magic of Longview, like you would, if you were writing this song, other lyricists might shy away from including this word and including this kind of imagery in their music for these very reasons of feeling like we're kind of talking around it, right? It's and yet I think Billy not only throws it in there, but like when he says it in the song, it's like it's undeniable. Like
Yeah.
it's meant to be in your face, you know? And I guess all I'm trying to get at here is like it felt very true to like the lives that we were living and like how we were growing up.
Yeah, very much so. Absolutely. I mean, the whole thing spoke to us, and I mean, it made our lives seem a little bit more fun or okay, it definitely, I mean, just I definitely, I identified with us, hanging out in the basement watching TV together and just bored out of our minds. And then the whole masturbation thing, Connor, I think it's another chicken or the egg situation. I mean, we were both in that age range where it's like, I mean, I don't really remember. To be honest with you, I was a little bit younger than you, so I don't. I I feel like yes, it was in our orbit, and there's all. I mean, from like fourth grade onwards or something. There's always kids in your class who they're gonna say shit. They're gonna be like, "Oh, the that guy's jacking off. That
Yeah.
guy's masturbating." And we're like, everyone's laughing. It's like, but everyone laughs, but no one really knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was in the orbit, but I mean, I certainly didn't have the talk before that, so it's like, uh and I mean, I think this probably would have been the same time in my life where because I think fifth grade is like that's like the age when you do have like your first sex ed class where they kind of show you those videos and the boys and girls are separated. I remember, I think that happened in fifth grade for me. So,
Yeah.
and that's the year I discovered Green Day. So I mean, it all happened at the same time. I don't know, um, but at the very least, though, at the very least, and I know this wasn't intentional, but I think it's a positive. I think it's a positive inclusion to the song because it kind of, I think it gives you permission to like not be afraid of your body, in a way that like school doesn't,
Yeah.
or other parts of the culture don't like. Um, and so I guess I'm kind of thankful for that. In all seriousness, it's obviously a very funny thing to talk about, but I mean,
No, I
Green Day played a part in my sexual education.
right.
That's just it.
Right. No, and I agree because it is like you're saying, like you are getting different messages, potentially, and um about that, about
Yeah,
going through
yeah,
puberty, and it is incredibly different to hear something like this in a song that you discover as you're getting into an artist versus like, yeah, your teacher wheeling in the fucking computer and
yeah.
it's like we're not watching Bill Nye today, motherfuckers,
Oh
like
no, 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 no.
so but I think like that is kind of the thing. Like there is something special about finding something like this on your own at that time,
Yeah,
at that age. Like it's and a lot of it is because it's like it doesn't feel like, you're being delivered this thing like under supervision or like as a means of education. Like kids know that it's like yeah, just because I know that this stuff is important, but like if you're being taught something through school, there's always going to be a kind of skepticism or
yeah. There's a disconnect there. There's an
there's a
unwillingness there.
disconnect, right?
Yeah,
And so like here, yeah, like it's not. This isn't meant to be educational, but like that's the thing. Like it it feels like they're kind of right there with you instead of like talking down to you or condescending in any way or even just trying to like shave off the rough edges. It
yeah,
feels like this is like the a bit more of like the direct source, where it's like yeah, there's like a bit more truth to this in a weird way, and I think you recognize that when you're younger,
absolutely.
when you're
You
growing
do.
up.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, we'll move on from that subject,
Yeah, but we
but
had to talk
we had
about it.
to. It was kind of, it was a hard truth that we had to touch on,
Good one.
if you know what I'm saying.
Oh no, I do, and I won't say any more than that.
Any more of the lyrics, Connor, you wanted to go over or cover? There's a lot of great ones. I actually think I will. I because since we were talking about masturbation, I think I gotta say, in the final chorus, some say quit or I'll go blind, but
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm.
a myth. That's something that I don't think that we grew up with. That myth that if you touched yourself too much you would go blind, but that
No,
was a thing. That was an actual thing that people were told. So I just thought that was a funny thing that was included here. um
it is, and of course, he said, "I'm so damn bored, I'm going blind."
yes,
Which
yes.
is it's just a funny play on words there, of course.
Yes, exactly. I know. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out was there's a lot of people people seem to think in certain spaces that the chorus "Bite my lip and close my eyes, take me away to paradise" is a reference to heroin. I'm not exactly sure why um, people think that. As far as I know, heroin was not their drug of choice in those days. But I guess people just seem to think that
Oh, N-
the injecting heroin and then you're there, there's a take me away to paradise might be something people say, in those circles. I don't know.
yeah, I see what you mean or what those people mean, I guess, but I always just kind of thought it was all wrapped up in the whole masturbation talk
It
that we've been.
is.
It's like bite my lip,
It
close my
is.
eyes.
It is.
I mean, he's jacking off. I don't know what to tell you. That's what
I
I
think
always thought.
some people, some like punk purists, I think want Green Day to have a bit of a harder edge, and um it's just not here in this song. Go to Insomniac if you want that.
Yeah. Um, I do just want to quickly shout out. I think that since you said, yeah, that last thing with the course, I think the only other thing I want to mention is, um, in the third verse, my mother says to get a job, but she don't like the one she's got.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean, you and I, Connor, also kind of have been like uh, resistant to work throughout our lives, and yeah, that's not necessarily a unique trait. I think many millennials and others, of course,
Sure. Yeah.
share that feeling. But like, I just felt like that was another thing that as I got older, like going into my teens, going into my young adulthood, this was a line that I felt like I really connected to more and more because my parents did tell me to get a job. My first job, I was seasonally employed during the winter months at the local Toys R Us. There's a Toys R
Oh
Us
yeah.
near us. I was 16. That was my first job, and I wasn't out hunting for it. Like um, some kids are motivated. They want money. So, that's a means of independence for a lot of kids, but that wasn't really like a driving factor for me. And I was like very content to kind of be this you know waste away fucking loser pretty much. And so it's just funny to me, like I literally was told to get a job, did go out and get one. And I just love like Billy's recognition of, that message always comes from people who are equally miserable in their own employment.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
almost feels like, that there's kind of a resentment where it's like, well, hey, if I'm fucking miserable and I got to go to work every day, then you're old enough to be fucking miserable too. So
Definitely.
get
I
on it.
know. I think that's what it boils down to. Yeah, and it's sad that that's how there's so much of the world works like that. Unfortunately. Um. But yeah, that's that. Yeah. I mean, I was in the same boat, Connor. I
Oh, I
resisted
know.
for I resisted for longer than you did. I didn't get my first job until I was like 18.
Yeah.
So, but when I did, Connor, I was like almost immediately I was like so anxious about it that I couldn't leave my bed and I had to get on antidepressants.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I'm still on. So yeah, that was a struggle for me, and I mean it's a struggle to this day for both of us.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I definitely I that's an important line to me. And it probably always will be. But
Here, here.
okay. So are we ready to get to some segments?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get it moving. Let's go on.
All right. This is gonna be probably a little bit of a longer episode just because this is our first video episode,
That's
and
all good. We're working out the kinks.
this is a flagship song. So how could we
Yeah.
not? How
How
could we
could
not
we
go
not?
long?
How could we not?
Um. All right, Connor, help me out with the song. Okay,
You got it.
goes a little something like this. Warning, live without
Have we
warning.
heard this song? Have we heard this song?
All right. So as our longtime listeners know, we went to see Green Day this summer and we saw them perform the Dookie album in its entirety, not once, but twice. So obviously we've heard Longview live this past summer. But the big question is, Connor, before this summer, have we ever heard Green Day play Longview live at a concert?
Yeah. Which is it's such a funny, it's like you have to ask the question because that's the structure of the podcast. But
We have to.
this one is funny because I'd be hard pressed to think about a concert where I have not heard this song.
I was gonna say, is there a concert that we've been to, a Green Day concert that we haven't heard Longview live at?
I think it's very likely that the answer is no, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn sure even at that first concert we went to in '05,
Oh
they
yeah,
played Longview.
they played
So
Longview for sure. I actually do think that I'm almost certain there's a concert that I've been to that didn't that the Longview wasn't played at, but I can't uh think exactly what it was. It could have been the Rough Trade Records one in 2016.
right.
Um obviously we saw them at Good Morning America. They didn't play Longview there. We saw them with Jimmy Fallon and the Subway. They
Yeah,
didn't play
yeah.
those don't really count the same. They
Yeah,
don't
it
really count
feels
the
like it
same.
doesn't really count, but
At every like actual Green Day like real concert, they've played Longview. So yeah, and I mean, more power to them. It's a fucking killer live song. I don't. Why
mhm.
would they ever not play Longview? I don't know. Um, all right, so I think it's about time to check out what the seedy underbelly of the internet is saying about this old Longview song.
Yeah, this'll be a weird
Yeah,
one. I expect this one to be a little different from,
it
songs
is.
past, but I guess we'll
Yeah,
see.
a little bit. I mean, Longview's a heavy hitter. Let's see what they think. Let's turn it over to the anti-social media.
We are
All right. So, obviously there was a lot of talk about Longview here. It's one of Green Day's most popular songs. So, even people that are like non-Green Day fans have thrown in their 2 cents, which does make things a little bit more interesting. First one we're gonna go over to. This is actually from Reddit. This is from the Chrono 3 years ago. They say, from a purely audio standpoint, this is a masterpiece and a train wreck at the same time. The intro is amazing in terms of mixing the guitars, bass, vocals. Then the guy mixing it said, fuck your ears at 45 seconds. I really hope there's a remaster where you can actually hear the band.
um, are they talking about the chorus? Like,
I
is
think,
that,
I
they do
think,
they
yes.
feel like it's just, like, you know, too
The,
too loud, not mixed
yes,
properly, right?
exact. They think the chorus is too loud coming after the kind of um uh soft intro and verse, and then you're pummeled with drums and guitar,
Mhm.
which what I would say is, then don't listen to Revrad.
Yep.
You're in for a shock if you ever put on the Revrad record.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't it's like, I don't know. I just don't get the perspective of this commenter because it's like I don't know. I'm just like that's the point. Obviously it was mixed the way it was uh with intent, and it's like that I think is exactly the feeling they want you to have. Like you're
Yeah,
not supposed to be sitting there with your, fucking uh best pair of headphones on, sitting back in your reclining chair, like, oh, yes, oh, I'm able to pick apart every aspect of, it's like, that's not what they are trying to give you. And
no,
if
not at
you're
all.
listening for that, I feel like you're coming at it from the wrong angle. So
Yeah,
of
you've
course
missed
you're
the
going to feel
point.
this way. Yeah.
You've missed the point already. The other thing, Connor, is like, even if you are an audiophile and you put it, you put on your good headphones and play this or whatever. I really don't like to get into like objectivity when it comes to art or music production or anything. But Connor, like, this is as close as you can get to like an objectively well produced Green Day song.
Hmm.
One of their biggest singles ever on radios around the world. There are actual audio engineers and people who do music professionally that criticize the heck out of Reverad's dynamics. So I understand that, but this, Connor, this is actually very well produced and well engineered. So I mean, I can safely dismiss this guy's comment as like they just don't know what they're talking. Like, they just want to listen to a jazz song.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
don't want,
Yeah.
they actually don't want a '90s alt rock song in their headphones.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to. You're right.
Very weird. Next up we have this is in r/Green Day from 6 years ago. Uh, the username is I'm a cunt balloon.
Hmm.
I'm a
Okay.
cunt balloon. Starts this topic. It says, people in the town Longview should not try and claim the song Longview as if it was written about their town. They go on to say, They go on to say, I think I saw that there are two Longviews, one in Texas and one somewhere else, Washington. And I've seen quite a few people comment that they're from there and that the song was written about them because their town is so boring. Well, no, it wasn't. And it was just a coincidence all along. So they're authoritatively saying, if you live in Longview and you think that this song's about your town, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't know. I guess it's not really surprising to me, but I didn't know that there were places called Longview. I didn't realize that was the name of a town. So
Yeah,
it's funny.
it's. I think it's called Longview because I think the first time they played it live was in Longview, Washington, and they didn't have a name for it before then.
Oh, I was kind of thinking, like, going into this discussion, like, why is Longview called Longview? And going through these talks and looking closely at these songs usually prompts me to ask. Like, I had never really thought about it before. It's like this song is what it is. It feels like it's like just fully formed from the moment
I
you hear
know.
it. So I never even really thought to um question why. I was kind of wondering, I guess I took it like almost like bizarrely literally, where it's like a tunnel vision kind of thing. Like, I don't know, like a distortion in your view.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're like looking down a tunnel and it's like you're just sitting there.
It works. It works on that level too, for sure. Yeah. It feels like it. I mean, it couldn't be named anything else in my view.
Mm,
In my long view.
mm.
Next up from YouTube, we have Lagadov. Lagadov, this is from 5 years ago, says, my neighbors violently closed their window while I was listening to this song. Does that mean that I can increase the volume just a little bit more? Smiley face emoji. Minecraft official account 2193 replies and says, you should respect your neighbors.
Yeah, yeah.
Get
'Cause
get with
that's
it.
that's just noise pollution.
It's just rock and roll is just noise pollution.
Yeah. Not everyone wants to listen to Longview.
Yeah. I mean, we've never done that in our neighborhood as kids. Never opened the garage and just blasted Green Day to the annoyance of our neighbors.
Yeah.
Never done that before.
And it really echoes in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Oh my God. It does it. Does it ever.
So,
Here is a little bit of a wholesome one. This is from Anonymous Confirmed 2808 from 4 months ago. They say, my cat Blue loved this song. Played it just for him all the time. We had the best times. Ate my whole Pizza Hut dinner. I just saw his tail straight up behind my TV. LOL, ate the whole thing. I love and miss him.
R.I.P. Blue.
Yeah,
I
sweet one.
hope he didn't die from eating the entire pizza. It sounds like
Yeah,
those
that
two things are different, right?
yeah, they
But
could. I mean, but honestly, Connor, for a last meal, like
right, what a way to
a whole
go.
Pizza Hut dinner. I mean, come on, that's a pretty good way to go out for a cat.
I kind of hope that happens even for me as a human. That'd be a pretty
I
sweet
mean,
way to
yes,
end it all.
I couldn't ask for a better death. Um, Next up we have Snowball or Snowby, Snoebal. Okay. They say this song is amazing. I just can't get it out of my hand that the lyrics are basically a Coomer's anthem. Now, Connor, do you know what a Coomer is?
Um, Coomer.
Yeah, it sounds bad. It does sound bad, but I looked it up. And this is from Google's AI overview. So,
I mean, I definitely know what this is going to be. Yeah.
yeah. So they say a coomer is an internet slang term used to describe someone who excessively consumes pornography. They also uh, a different source that I don't know, actually, it's not Google, but it's a different website. It says Coomer is an internet based meme based on an illustration of a scraggly male character who is mocked as an excessive masturbator.
Hmm, I see. When was this comment made?
4 months ago.
4 months ago. Yeah. The one that I always see get thrown around, and I assumed it's essentially the same as what you're describing here, is Gooner. So,
Gooner is a big one these days. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're just interchangeable.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what the difference is. If you want to write into the show and tell us the difference between Gooner and Coomer, please let us know. I mean, I'm
I
all
don't know.
ears.
I don't know if I want to know.
Oh, you want
Maybe
to leave a
I
mysterious?
guess you can read it. It's
Yeah.
fine. I don't know if I'll read it. I'm not
All right.
really.
Well, I might share it with you. You'll
Okay.
be, you know,
Great.
just because if I mean I'm not gonna be the only one burdened with this knowledge. I don't want to be. I don't want that to be my cross to bear. So I have to
Yeah.
share it with somebody.
Fair enough.
Next up, we this is kind of a funny one. I'm not gonna do all of it, but um, Travers Travers Red 7 years ago, they came up with their own version of this song. And goes a little something like this. It goes, I sit around and watch YouTube, but nothing's fun. Browse the channels for an hour or two. So they substituted YouTube for the tube, which is pretty
Mm,
clever.
hmm.
Um, let's see. Let's see. The rest is pretty bad. That's like the only fun part of this parody.
Gotcha.
They say, um, they say, call me prophetic, call me what you will. I don't know what that means or why. Maybe they were reading a bit too much Dune.
Could be. That's what
Um,
it's tough because sometimes you get like a kernel of an idea like that. You're like, oh, that's pretty good, and then it's tempting to stretch it out into the
yeah.
full thing. But I mean, just I don't. There's not very many good parody songs
No, I
that
mean,
are good all the way through.
I think this guy like thought of the YouTube line and like
Exactly.
and was like, okay, I can expand it from here, and then he just didn't
Right.
really
Yeah. It should have
do
just
anything else.
been the first verse. You could have left it at that.
I
But
agree. The ending is a little bit it's confusing but also fun. He goes, bite my tongue and open my eyes, slipping away to a parallel reality.
yeah.
So, some say quit, nothing is permanent, but I'm a sucker for punishments. That's how I would sing it.
Oh.
Um, I don't, and then the one reply says, just replying to this to show how to remind you how embarrassing this is.
Yikes. Yikes.
So, but the next YouTube comment that I'm gonna read, this person could have helped them with their parody because this is from the Talk 23 from 2 years ago. They say, Green Day predicted the future. Tweet all my thoughts just for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, well,
I don't like that. I don't like
this is
that.
them thinking that the line "twiddle my thumbs just for a bit" was "tweet all my thoughts just for a little bit."
Oh, I thought maybe they were like making some kind of a like, oh, they're also going to substitute a line in, like, but I guess I see what you mean that they must really think that that's a misheard lyric
That's
for them.
yeah, that that's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah.
I love Alex G J7K says the drums in the beginning sound like "The Beautiful People" by Marilyn Manson.
You know, I hear that.
Yeah.
I hear that. Um, it's funny. I was just talking with my wife about Marilyn Manson because we were listening to Linkin Park has like a hybrid theory remix album where they had a
Uh
whole
huh.
bunch of like artists and collaborators remix the songs off of hybrid theory. It's called Reanimated, I think.
Okay.
Marilyn Manson does one of the remixes, and her and I, we were like, man, Marilyn Manson fucking sucks. Just fucking, it's like, wow. Um, Not sure what was the deal with this dude? You know,
I mean, he's just a very bad person.
he's the thing. Yes, he's a very bad person. Absolutely. Um, but like even before people were like, oh yeah, he's bad. It's like plenty of bad people have made art where I'm like,
Oh yeah.
the art's still good. Like
No,
that's
it's true.
tough.
It's true.
And I was like listening to it. I'm like, man, what what was the intersection there that elevated? I think people just thought he was fucking weird, and
He was edgy and
people just
subversive
wanted
and
that weird shit.
yes.
But
Yep.
he was never a good artist. I was like, this song fucking sucks. So whatever.
I really couldn't even name a Marilyn Manson song other than "Beautiful People" now, which I barely even know. So, um, And I mean, actually, he does intersect with Green Day in a very weird way that I'm not going to talk about right now, but maybe we will bring it up on the relevant episode. Um, Next up, we have Amber XO133 from 4 years ago. Amber says, "Please don't let Green Day songs be memes. Don't put that up. Don't put them on TikTok and Gacha. Just let the songs rest."
Yeah, I don't know.
Do
S-
you? I mean, would it be better just to let the songs rest and not bring them to life again in the form of memes? Do you think it's disrespectful?
No, I don't think it matters. I think the thing is like I don't know. I don't think I'm not sure Green Day songs are really cut out to be memes in today's age.
Have there been any big Green Day songs turned into memes? I mean, obviously September, but that's kind of pre memes even.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been memes. What this is commenters talking about specifically, I think, is kind of like TikTok dances,
Yeah,
using it as like I don't know, like recognizable audio clips in your 5-second video that's like
yeah.
trendy um and I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that it's just a bit of someone wanting to go out there and be like, "Oh, don't do th- I'm not like other people in my generation. This stuff's stupid. Don't fucking do
Yeah,
that." And it's
I
like,
think you're right.
listen, I don't even really think people are doing this. And if they are, what is the impact? It
I
doesn't
mean,
really matter, does it?
personally, I think they should. I would love it if like fucking Armitage Shanks was a
Blew up.
a TikTok sensation. Like
Yeah.
I've seen so many bands like songs from 25 years ago come to life because of TikTok. Like
Yeah.
Green Day is a band big enough to like not need that. Like that wouldn't really make a huge difference for them, but as a Green Day fan, that would be fun.
Maybe we could do one because I'm kind of imagining
Yeah.
now. I mean, like scrolling through Instagram and shit, like, people really will just use I can't think of one, but like there are songs that come up all the time and, will be utilized in ways that are like supposed to be funny and shit.
Yeah.
For some reason I'm immediately thinking like the Panic song or something would be
Oh,
like
that's a good
really
one.
just a because you would just have like I don't know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something
Yeah.
about that I think would work.
Let's
It,
get it
it would
going.
work.
Let's get some ideas going. Green Dudes Army. Let's get to TikTok. Make some videos. Hashtag Green Dudes TikTok challenge. Use whichever Green Day song you like and do something cool. Let's start a trend.
You think anyone's going to use that hashtag?
Hashtag Green
do
Dudes
you
TikTok
do you,
challenge.
do you think that hashtag is going to be used?
Maybe.
I
We'll
think
see.
we're post hashtag.
Do hashtags do
Right.
anything anymore?
No, hashtags don't do anything
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't know.
I don't think they matter.
I still like them just for nostalgic reasons purely. Next up, we have Kiss Fan 2000 from 2 years ago. Kiss Fan says, "Kiss is better."
Yo, this guy just knows who he is.
Yes,
Just
exactly. Yeah,
on a fucking mission. I
yeah.
Nothing would make me happier than to know that this person is just going on to like well-known songs
Oh yeah.
throughout like all of YouTube and only commenting the same comment over and over again.
I really hope that's all they do. That's his life's purpose.
Damn.
He's nothing if not consistent.
I want Billy Joe might agree.
I mean, Green Day famously covered "Rock and Roll All Night" on the Hell Mega Tour. So,
Yeah.
I don't think Billy would say Kiss is better than Green Day. Um, I I think it's pretty clear that they're not. But I think Billy would laugh at this comment.
Yeah.
Next up, we have LOL Gal 1996. This comment's from 10 years ago. LOL Gal says, "My friend, Billy Joe Armstrong is ugly. Me. You now live in this hole. You get one rotten apple per day, and all you get to look at is Billy Joe Armstrong." That's
Wow.
their punishment.
That's pretty good. That's pretty funny.
You now live in this hole. You
Yeah,
get one rotten apple per day.
what a turnaround.
I
Wow.
know.
Um,
They don't play. They don't play. They're not LOLing anymore.
yeah, no, damn.
All right. Yeah.
He is a bit of a crusty heartthrob, I would say, in this
I mean,
Longview music video.
especially in the music video, he is like he's like hot, and like he's got cool hair. He has a nose ring. But he also looks like he smells.
Mhm.
All right. Next up, we have Sanverse Chandel from 10 years ago. They say this makes me dance like a weird chicken walking on his own crap.
Alright. Do they this person must be a farmer or tends to chickens. They seem to have some chicken experience.
Yeah, they must be a farmer. That's true, and they've probably walked on chicken crap before, so I guess they would know.
Probably. No, they would know. That's not how I dance to this song, but, I respect it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes all kinds. It really does. Okay, we got a few left here. What are you, a cop? 97 says Mike Dirnt made this baseline while on LSD. I can't even make a new sandwich without giving up halfway through. Destroy all the food, then sit in the corner of the mess thinking about what I've done.
Are they talking about while on LSD, or they just literally
Yeah, they
cannot do this no matter what?
they don't specify, so I'm assuming that just in their day-to-day life, they can't even make a sandwich without giving up halfway through and just sitting in the corner stewing on it.
Man, it's a sad life.
It's a pretty sad existence.
Sandwiches are, like, meant to be one of the things that are easy to make.
I know.
It's the food of the layman, you know? It's
It
the
is.
food of the working class.
Yeah, yeah.
You should be able to make a sandwich.
You should be. I mean, I, and in fact, that's like people do that when they're high. That's like a very high thing to do.
Yeah.
Make a sandwich.
I think that you're really just thinking about Shaggy and Scooby Doo, but
Well,
yes,
mostly, yeah. Make like
people used to do
the
that.
very like a tall sandwich
Yeah,
that
right, like
you
a fucking 10-foot tall
a 10 foot
sandwich.
tall sandwich, and
People do that!
you just inhale it, just
Yeah.
automatically it goes down like
You
that.
gotta have a fucking olive with a toothpick
Yes,
on at the very
you
top.
need the toothpick, and
So
then your mischievous little dog will steal it right out of your hand. Um, all right. Next up, we have America Man 3204. This is from 9 years ago. The profile picture is of a bald eagle with an American flag behind it.
not looking forward to this.
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised. America Man says, "I'm 13 and I can relate, except for the unemployed part." Shit.
Hmm. Wait, does that mean that they have a job? They're working? Or, like, they just aren't old enough to be working yet, so they don't count as
Yeah,
unemployed?
I think that they're 13 and they can't get it because I mean, obviously, this is America Man, so uh once they're 14, which I think is the legal age that you could work in a lot of states. I'm sure once they were 14 they signed up to join the workforce, and
Probably.
so I
Either
think that's
way,
what they were waiting for, and I'm sure they still love Green Day today 9 years later, and I'm sure they don't have any fucked up politics at all.
let us know, America, man.
Man, American Man, please let us know.
Let
All
us
right,
know.
I got two left here. We have Alexander the Red 5603. Alexander says this, the song of the millennials. Then Adam Ford 152 replies and says, "Hey, I was born in 2003, you douche." XD.
Wow. Fantastic.
So
XD.
us millennials can't claim this song. Those Zoomers, they relate to it as well.
Yeah.
Um, which
But
really, it's like not.
2003, are you what are you at that point? Is that I
I
guess
think
that
you're a,
is Gen
I
Z,
think you're
right?
a Zoomer. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. All right. Last but not least, we have Taylor White 2177 from 2 years ago. Taylor says, "Bounced on my boy's D to this baseline." Excellent, excellent etiquette in the comment section. I don't know.
That that was part of their comment?
That was
Excellent
part of their comment. Yeah.
etiquette in the comment
Yeah.
section?
Which I don't know if they're talking about themselves or other comments. They're being sarcastic. But I mean, they wanted to share that they bounce on their boy's D to this baseline, which I mean, I have my theories about what that might mean.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have some theories too.
yeah.
I have some theories too. Um, I mean, I guess just like, rhythm wise, I guess I get it. I don't know.
It does seem like it could be conducive to doing the thing.
Yeah. It's just this is kind of a funny song to have sex to
Yeah,
because of course it's about it's I think kind of implied in part about like not being able to have sex.
exactly. You're by yourself. You're alone.
Yeah.
You're forced to use your hand.
Yep.
You might go
Yep.
blind. You've been, no girl would touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Right, you fucking smell like shit,
You smell
You're
like shit.
you are a disgusting piece of shit. No one
Yeah,
will ever want you. So you just have yourself. Loneliness will have to suffice,
exactly.
right?
That's
Loneliness
the
has to
moral of the
suffice.
story.
There we
That's
go.
the
There
moral
we
of
go.
the story.
So it's a
I
funny
mean,
one.
I guess this is like a nice, it's like happy ending. Okay, not like you're getting a happy ending,
Not right, not like a
but
literal, but
oh, Green Day fans can find love too. It is possible.
yeah, yeah, no, good.
It is possible.
Good for this person. That, I'm sure they were thinking that as the song was playing. They were like, "Wow, I've made it."
Yeah, finally.
I'm not just some fucking coomer. So,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Thank God. Or a gooner, probably.
as far as we know.
Connor, I know that was a lot today. Who the heck do you think wins Comment of the Week award?
Okay. I took note of 3 comments that stood out to me and that I
Okay.
enjoyed. You might have to kind of weigh in
All right. Fair
and
enough.
and do this. But so, first one I liked was the Blue the Cat one,
Yeah, Blue the Cat. Yeah.
R.I.P. Blue. Um,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. God, he loved this song.
Yeah, he did.
Kiss fan. That one
Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Kiss fan. And I don't the girl who was like, "You now live in this hole." I mean, it's
Oh
just,
yeah.
all 3 of those
Oh man,
pretty good, I thought.
those were really good. Uh, I I think it has to go to Blue the Cat. I think
I
we have to.
Once I said those 3, I was hoping you were gonna say that because I don't know, it has that emotional
It does.
connection.
It
I
does, and
respect that.
it's. I mean, honestly, like when you're embodying the Longview lifestyle, you're in your basement watching TV, whatever. You might only have your cat as a companion,
Mhm.
and I think that's beautiful. You're and just like Shaggy and Scooby, Blue is stealing Pizza Hut from you, just like
That's
Scooby
right.
would steal your sandwich. So,
That's right.
no, I think Blue earns it. So yeah, let's see. Let's find the name of that account, which of course it is anonymous confirmed 2808. So I know they want to be anonymous, but um, if you want to reach out to us anonymous and claim your prize, we would be happy to reward you
Reward you
handsomely.
handsomely. Yeah,
Reward you handsomely
we're
like we
not gonna
do.
reveal your identity,
No, we're not going to dox you
this
or
is about what you've earned.
exactly. This is for you. This is for you, and this is for Blue. So please don't be afraid to reach out to us. We will hook you up. Connor, any final things you wanted to discuss before we wrap the episode up here?
Man. Um, something that I just wanted to throw out there,
Yeah.
um, and I guess I wasn't sure what the space for it was, but we were talking about the music video, of course, and at the end, Billy's ripping up the couch. He's
Yeah.
stabbing it. He's destroying it. Well, I have this memory of being at your house, your old house in our neighborhood together,
Yeah.
and as you went through your front door, on the side you had like the computer room, right?
Uh huh.
But it was open. There's no doors or anything. It was open, and it was kind of like there was a couch in there too. There
Yeah.
was like a couch on the side. I have this memory of listening to Longview and you and I like jumping on the couch on that specific
Yeah.
exact couch, and I feel like we must have been kind of like pretending, kind of like it wasn't just like dancing around. I think we were kind of like enacting the music video a bit, kind of
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
trying to like, oh yeah, we're just like Billy Joe or whatever. Like, and I don't know. I just remember that. I just
I
wanted to
remember
throw that
doing,
out there.
yeah, I remember doing that too. And I mean, I feel like we probably did that on every couch we had, like the downstairs couch,
Yeah.
the futon upstairs. Like we
Yes.
were probably we would just kind of we'd put on Green Day and just go crazy, dancing
Yeah.
around, being crazy boys, reenacting things. God, yeah, we went buck wild.
We did do that, you
Good
know?
memories.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I mean, if you have any memories, listeners, of you and your friends going buck wild to this song or reenacting the video or whatever, please let us know. We'd be happy to hear. If you want, you can reach out to us at you can do it via email. We are greendudespod@gmail.com. You could follow us on Twitter and Instagram if you want. You can reach out to us there. We are at Green Dudes Pod on both platforms. Of course, we're going to be streaming live every episode. We don't have a set schedule for when we stream live, so it'll be kind of more of a surprise thing. So if you want to if you get lucky and you want to catch us, we'll post those links to our live streams. And then we will have the video up on YouTube when the podcast releases every Monday, and we will link to that in the show description as well. Um, if you're feeling generous, folks, and you want to leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts, as well as giving us a nice 5-star rating on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, that would be much appreciated. Connor, next week we have Welcome to Paradise.
Yeah.
Again. Again.
Yeah. Again, right?
The definitive version, you might say.
That reminds me, I wanted to throw this out there too when you were talking about the lyrics, but the whole like slipping away to paradise. I had never thought, but I was like, it feels like it connects, you
It
know?
does. There is that connective tissue there for
Right.
sure.
You're
And I
slipping
think
away to paradise and then you're
I
welcome
know.
to it, you
I
know?
know. There has to be some sort of intention behind that,
Yeah.
especially because obviously Welcome to Paradise was written first, so there could have been something like, oh well, this fits so well together. It makes sense.
Mhm.
We'll talk about that more in the next episode. But thank you for joining us, folks, and thank you for watching us on video. We'll be back next week. But until then, folks,
Stay
stay
punk.
punk.